Let me get closer so you can really hear me. You do not have to have expensive rods and reels to catch fish. I'm going to talk today about a subject that keeps recurring in like YouTube comments. There are rods and reels that I buy that are very affordable, and I just wanted to make a video just to dispel that. Like, number one, I didn't start off with the best equipment, and you don't have to have the most expensive equipment to catch fish, have a good time, and do what you need to do on the water. Nowadays, $100 rod, a $99.99 rod, is what a $400 rod was 20 years ago. $100 will get you some of the best equipment that you could buy, like the baddest rod 10 years ago, 15 years ago, is what a $100 rod is now. Just technology keeps advancing, and the way they manufacture our rods and reels is so much better than it used to be. You can get that $400 or $500 feel in a $100 rod. So I was just going to kind of break down to you some of my rods. I've got some that are $400 and $500, but I've also got some that are $99 that I use. Okay, so you don't have to have it. For me, I'm not looking at the price. I'm looking for the best tool to get the job done. I don't care if it's $79. I don't care if it's $500. If that rod right there is the best one to help me get what I need to get done, that's the one I'm going to get, no questions asked. All right. If the rod that I need to get the job done fits the description, is the right length, right rod, right power, right everything, and it's $79.99, which some of them are over here on my rod rack, I'm about to show you in a minute, that's the rod that I get. All right. So my motivation for buying equipment is not necessarily price driven. It's like quality driven. It is, does it fit the job description driven? I couldn't think of a fancy word to put in there for that, so that's why I said what I just said. That didn't make any sense. But I'm gonna show you a couple of my rods, all the way from $399.99 all the way down to, I think the cheapest one that I know I have is like 99 bucks. And you can get out my signature rod that I designed for you to use, that I have in this rod box right here, right behind me. That rod box right there that I've been practicing with for a year, trying to get this rod perfect, is $129.99. So yes, I do use like expensive stuff sometimes. Feel like I deserve it. I work pretty daggum hard making these videos and fishing and traveling and driving and staying in terrible hotels, and like, I think I deserve to use an expensive rod or reel if I want to. But if it fits the job description, I'm going to use some of these $99.99 rods and reels too. So I'm going to break them down, show you exactly what I like to use and why. This is the most expensive rod that I've got, that I use right here. But dude, this thing is just bad. This is just a bad rod, bro. Like, I would not regret spending $400 on a rod like this. This is the favorite Hex. Is light. It's lighter than a piece of notebook paper. It's almost like nothing's in your hand. As expensive as the Hex is, and as nice as this rod is, I wouldn't go trying to flip mats with it. I wouldn't punch in mats with this rod. It's too delicate a piece of equipment, all right? So that's why I have everything in my tackle box. It's not because I was just obsessive over rods and reels and that's what I want. That's what I need, different rods for different things. Oh, this is a good one. This is a good rod right here. So this is a rod. This is a $99 rod that I use. Okay. This is the favorite Defender. One of my favorite spinnerbait rods. I've got two spinnerbait rods that I use. One of them is Defender. I just like the I'm just gonna be country. I like the bend in this rod. Everybody says that I like the parabolic, whatever. I like the bend in this rod. That's how I explain it. That's how I talk to it. Those fancy words annoy me sometimes. But this rod right here at $99, 15 years ago, this would have been like probably a $299 rod. Like, it would have been a really expensive rod. This rod's light. It's got high quality eyes in it, a really good reel seat, because reel seats are annoying. You get a rod with a bad reel seat, it's always unscrewing and your reel falls out. You ever seen a guy set the hook and the reel come off the rod? It's because the reel seat's built terrible. that has too much play in it. But I've never had that problem with the Defender. This is where I like to throw like a 3/4 ounce spinnerbait on. I do a lot of open water frogging where I live, skipping it on the docks. But there's nothing for the frog to get into. I'll throw a frog on this on braided line as well, or I'll throw a spinnerbait on 17 to 20 pound test line. This is also a good all around rod for you guys that walk the banks and fish off a foot. This would be a great rod for you to buy just to, you know, for one all. Like I'm going to the pond today and I want one rod. This would be a good one, 7 foot right here. So this is the rod that I won Lake Seminole on, a 7.2 medium heavy. Let's see, the price tag still on this is a brand $149.99, and I like the bend on it. It's not real stiff, but kind of, you know, it's got enough backbone to horse one out of some grass or whatever. But it's light. I like the way it looks. It's just a good looking rod, right? This rod just, you know, just looks good. $149.99. That's what I use. Then you get into like the spinning rods. So you guys know I use a lot of spinning rods, especially when I'm here at home. It's just, to me, spinning rods are fun. I'm just like a piece of equipment that I'm really picky about. So I designed my signature series rod. It's like I said, it's probably a $150 rod, and I built it in the 6.6 series from Favorite, which is not like their high-end equipment. But dude, this package right here, as I said 10 or 15 years ago, a rod with this kind of quality and this quality of guides and this quality of blank would probably been a $200 or $300 rod, which now you can get it for about half of that. So this is equipment that like you can use. If I could use it and fish every day with it in the tournaments that I fish, like I'm telling you, like guys, you can go buy the same stuff. There's not many sports where you can buy the same thing that professionals are using. My favorite 6-stick signature series is not out yet because I literally just got like finished approving the last series of prototypes just a couple weeks ago. So no, you can't get it yet, but I did base this rod off of the 7.1 that they already have. The 7.1 6-stick is basically what I pretty much use as a template, and I just kind of changed a few things. I took one guide out. I felt like it was like one too many guides, and that also, once you take one guide out, that changes the power and the action of your rod. It kind of softened it up just a hair, so you can use smaller line, or you know, when fighting a fish on smaller line, it gives it just a little bit more elasticity. That's my favorite. That's my big word for this video, elasticity. You know, it's just, it bends a little more with one less guide. Anytime you add guides, you're stiffening up the rod. You're taking away guides, you're making the rod more bendable, okay? Like it bends a little bit more. Took one away, added bigger guides because most of us are using a braided fluorocarbon setup. Bigger guides, let the line go through the rods a little bit better, through the guides a little bit better. I grip my spinning reels above the, spinning rods above the reel like that. So I wanted more grip above the reel. And I also wanted the reel to fasten to the rod blank from the bottom up. That way the reel's always in the same place no matter what. There you go. There you see like 4 or 5 of my rods that I just took out of my shop and out of my boat that I use on a daily basis, all the way from $99 to $399. Let's talk about reels a little bit. I will say this, when it comes to the same thing that I said about the rods, basically 10-15 years ago, what you're paying for a $100 reel today is what you were getting for $300 or $400 15 years ago. Reels are something that I probably do use almost all premium equipment when it comes to reels. I'll be completely transparent on that one. I don't really have many reels that are under probably 200 bucks. But think about it. People will complain about a $300 reel, but I guarantee you the phone that you're commenting on this video is probably 700 to 1200 bucks. Where are your priorities? Don't come at me with that if you're typing right now and commenting on a $1,000 cell phone. So if you put that in perspective, spending $200 or $300 on a reel that will last far longer than your cell phone. I can get this guy wet. I can leave it on the deck of my boat. I can carry it behind my truck. I can leave it in the back bed of my truck that I fish ponds with and let it rain on it, ice on it, snow on it, and it'll still work. Try that with your cell phone, see if it still works. Doesn't need a charge, doesn't need a battery. I don't need a monthly charge. It's $300 one-time charge. I don't mind spending money on my bait cast, especially bait casting equipment. I use pretty good reels. This is probably one of the, I don't want to say lower ends, but probably one of the most affordable reels I have is this one right here. This is a Lose Tournament Pro. They're about 200 bucks. Spinnerbait. I actually use this guy because it comes in the gear ratio that I need to throw like a spinnerbait on. Slower gear ratio, 6/8 to 1, something like that. Everything else is probably going to be more than 200 bucks, guys, because your reel takes the most of the abuse when you're fishing. And sometimes I do fish, 14, 15 days in a row, 2 weeks at a time. And so those reels, they take they take some abuse. You carry them around on the boat all day. They sit on the hot deck. Then you stuff them in compartments that are wet. Reels take a lot of abuse. So that's the one thing that I won't sacrifice too much on. I have to be transparent and say, I've got some pretty high-end reels. Probably one of my favorite ones is this one right here. It's a $300 reel. It's the Lose Hyper Mag. It's pretty daggum good reel. Like, it's light. It's a good reel, y'all. Like, it's a good reel. I'm the guy that doesn't really know a lot of the vocabulary that comes with reel manufacturers and what makes a reel good, what makes one bad, why this spool is aluminum and this one is magnesium and this one is, I don't know all of that. What I do is I put the thing on my rod. If it feels good, you get one check. I fish it for about 6 months, and if it doesn't have a lot of rattle at the end of 6 months, that's another check. I need it to last and I need it to feel good. 2 type priorities. Third priority is, does it look good? I don't like ugly stuff. I don't want like loud red reels and green. Like, I don't like that loud stuff. I also have this one right here. This is a Lose Custom Pro. I want to say, let's see how much this. I'm gonna type it in. This is a Lose Custom Pro. I use this one for cranking, chatterbait, spinnerbait, also because it comes in lower gear ratio reel. Let's see how much this guy is. I'm gonna look it up right on the internet. $259. It's a $259 reel. But this is a good reel too for chatterbaits, spinnerbaits, small crankbaits. To me, it seems to cast. I don't know what they make the spool out of and the brakes, but this braking system seems to work really good with like balsa crankbaits or lighter things that are hard to throw. And I have one more. Let me see if I've got a rod in my rod box that has, I've got another one. The Lose Pro TI, which I want to say is, I might be wrong on this. I'm sure somebody will correct me. Lose Pro TI is 350 bucks. But look at it, dude. The body is like chrome and stuff. And it's got like a carbon fiber reel handle. And it casts as smooth as, I don't know what else casts, but it casts smooth. I couldn't think of an analogy on that. It's a bad dude, man. Again, I don't have all the fancy vocabulary to make you know that this reel is the baddest one there is. When I say I just practice, I like to fish. I don't make reels. I put stuff in my hands if it feels good, if it feels light, if my hands like it, and then I use it for 6 months, 8 months, and it ain't breaking. It's legit. And I put a pretty good strain on it. If I can make it through it, my dad would tell you, like, I tear up everything. And if I don't tear it up, it's probably pretty good. But this is one that I keep in high rotation too, because it does a job really good. This is another one. You see, I've got a weightless jerkbait on this one. It casts really well. Light things, light baits really well, which is important. So that's pretty much my arsenal of reels. You'll notice that I have a wider range of rods when it comes to price range than I do reels. And that's just telling you that, the reel performance, I think is number one for me when it comes to what I'll spend. But when it comes to rods, you can get what you need pretty daggum affordable. So don't razz me about my $500 rods and reels when you're typing on a $1,000 iPhone. I don't want to hear it. If you're really serious about it and you really want the best equipment, you'll go get you a straight talk from Walmart and then get you a $1,000 bait casting setup. Appreciate y'all watching the video. I hope that helps today.